I couldn't believe my eyes.
I just can't believe that happened.
That was probably the scariest moment of my life.
Oh my gosh.
Hey guys, this is Greg and Alyssa. This is Q&A Pod, where we talk about relationships, being business partners, and everything in between. What is up, guys? This is Greg and Alyssa with Q&A Pod. We are here with our very first episode. So we had a podcast a couple years back, and it kind of fizzled out. It was just for kind of like TikTok, but we figured, hey, let's go ahead and give this a serious shot this time and really have some good conversations to show people that, you know, you're not alone. A lot of people are going through the same thing, and you're no different than other people, you know, but in a good way, not a bad way. You're not different. No, you're not, you know, but anyways, but to talk about relatable things, that's the key. Relatable things that we've experienced as a couple, as business owners and professionals. So yeah, today, what I want to talk about on this very first episode is how the F did we get here?
How the beep.
Exactly. How the F, I'll just say F, but, how did we get here? Where did we start? And where are we going? Right. So tell us from your perspective, kind of, how did we first get started with everything, and where are we now and where are we going?
So from my perspective, I think there was always going to be something that we were going to end up doing. Regardless of what it was going to be, we were going to be doing something, especially you. I remember back in the Two Story, even back then, you were thinking of ideas. You had a YouTube channel even back then, and I was, 4-5 years?
I think like 6.
Even more. Even back then, your creative mind was turning, your wheels were turning. I remember that. That was fun. So that's kind of, I think, what started. You kind of always thought you were going to do something, and then it kind of like fizzled from there.
Didn't fizzle, but it kind of picked up
fizzle.
from there. Yeah. I wouldn't say that word.
Cut that out.
Yeah. No. But so basically, back in 2019, I started a YouTube channel. But even before that, right? I mean, I guess just posting content. I remember in high school, I had this crazy YouTube channel, and I would like post like dance videos and, right before I went to college and talk about that. But, more recently, I guess kind of this whole setup, back in 2022, I believe it was, we were like, hey, or actually, let's say this. So I decided to purchase a camera because I had the YouTube channel back at our first home.
Was it in a Canon? Just side note, or was it Sony?
No. So the first camera that I had with that original YouTube channel in our first house was a Canon. It was a Canon M50. Very, beginner friendly, very inexpensive, very affordable, and it was kind of a vlog type camera. But a couple years passed, I kind of stopped using the camera, stopped doing the YouTube channel, and I was like, I want to buy another camera because I want to make content. I want to get back into that because it's fun. Making things, editing things, creating things. It's just really fun. So I bought a camera, and after I bought the camera, I was like, okay, now what am I going to film, right? Like, I'm busy. I'm working a really, really busy job, for a corporate company, sales type job. And I'm like, I work weekends. Like, what am I really going to do? And so the idea was, well, hey, during the week, I'm kind of free a little bit on some days. So let's start a YouTube show. So we're both huge fans of like Cut, Jubilee, the BuzzFeed videos where they kind of like bring people on and interview them. And so the idea was, well, why can't we do that? Right. Because these shows are all based in like New York City, California, and it's to, Louisiana people. It's like, there's nothing like that in our area. Right.
Yeah, but we thought it would be fun to like show the world that Louisiana does have some different kind of people. We're not, rednecks out here. All of us.
Yeah. We're not all catching gators. So yeah, and that was the idea. Is that we're a diverse group of people, and the South isn't always what you see on TV, right? Like there's different people, different perspective, different point of views, and so we were like, all right, let's do it. But how do we get people, right? Because do we ask friends? Do we ask family? God forbid, do we ask strangers and have people, because then the other question was, well, where do we film this at, right? We don't have a studio. We're not going to pay for that because this is something for free, basically. We're not making money off of this show. And so we literally decided, okay, well, we have a decent sized dining room. We can move all of our furniture off the dining room, buy some backdrops, mount them to the wall, and just have that be our filming space. And that's what we did. We went on Amazon, literally bought some brackets, bought some colorful backdrops, because the thing that we noticed was a lot of these shows, it was all the same. It was kind of a white backdrop, people just standing in front of it, and it wasn't very colorful. It wasn't very bold. And so our idea was, well, let's get 3 really bold colors. We settled on pink, blue, and yellow, right? Kind of primaries almost. And every guest will have kind of their own kind of rotating backdrop, and that'll make it more interesting to watch. And so we posted a status, and it was like, hey, we're thinking about starting this thing. We want to ask questions about your relationship, about your sex life, about your religion, politics. Who wants to do it, right? And surprisingly, we got a few responses. Mm-hmm. So people started filling out. We made a little form online where you can fill out, put your information, put things about yourself and why you might be a good fit for our show. And yeah.
And it wasn't just like friends or family. Like we had a few people that like knew us from somebody else, like people that we've maybe only met one time or I've never actually met. So that was really cool. That was really cool.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, our first, I guess, episode, we had about 6 or 7 people, I believe it was. And so that initial thing, and we called it the Q&A show, right? Because the idea behind it was, hey, we're asking questions, they're giving answers. So, what can we name this thing? And it's like, well, let's just name it Q&A, right? And so that was kind of the genesis of our video production, I guess, profession. And so that experience with Q&A show taught us a lot. It taught us about coaching people on kind of not what answer to say, but how to answer, how to feel comfortable in front of a camera and just be themselves. Because, truthfully, it is tough when you're in front of a camera. There's lights all on you. It's like, well, how do I...
Everything's quiet, especially like we can't talk because we're behind the camera. So we can't be like, oh, yeah, that's good.
Exactly.
That's good.
Yeah, we can't give you any feedback, right? So for a lot of, for us, it was just kind of like, okay, how do we get them comfortable to talk about these really personal things? But also make it entertaining, because sometimes, you can fall into a hole where they're talking about themselves or talking about something and it's not very interesting to watch. And so it's like, okay, well, maybe that one thing you said, let's pick up back on that. Tell us more about that, and kind of digging deeper. And that kind of gave us some direction, I guess, experience of, okay, how do we direct? How do we not give them answers, but guide them towards something that's going to, kind of be cohesive, because we know what the other guests said about this certain question. So we want to, make it full circle,
And then also like getting them comfortable to be able to, for them to feel comfortable enough to like say what they really want to say. Like maybe they were nervous to answer the question because of who might see it, or nervous like where they live. They don't want people to like judge them or something like that. So getting them comfortable to just be able to share their story and share their opinions on things.
Yeah. And I mean, and Q&A show kind of taught us as well, it made me realize, because I have people who hey man, I want to do this. I want to come on the show. I want to talk about things. But I'm, like you said, I'm scared because what if somebody says something, or what if they don't like my answer? And I think that kind of, for me, explored kind of a deeper, I wouldn't say issue, but a deeper conversation about our experience in America, and maybe just in life in general. Of there's a lot of people who are afraid of being ridiculed for their views, for, what they really think. And a lot of us kind of like play this game in day-to-day life of like, hey, I've got to hide my true self. And I think for us, what was really cool about doing Q&A show was, hey, we kind of got to let people, take off that mask a little bit and be themselves. And so, yeah, that was a really, really fun experience. We were able to kind of grow a social media following from there. And then after that kind of initial step, the next thing, and how we got here was, hey, let's start making some money, right? Because obviously, Q&A show was really fun, a great experience, posting on YouTube, getting some views, some subscribers. But ultimately, there was zero revenue from that.
Yeah.
And we invested a lot of money into the equipment and the gear and the lighting, and it's like, hey, this is fun, but how are we going to make this sustainable? And so, we have been talking about for a while, hey, what if we did weddings? Because, people are always getting married. Like, we really enjoyed, our experience of getting married and kind of having a photographer. And, it's fun, right? It's a really big milestone in people's lives.
Did you start making a real estate video first before that? Or did we just go into wedding? Like, I can't remember like what actually happened.
It was...
How kind of was it like?
Good question. I'm pretty sure it was weddings first.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure because last March... so March of 2024 was our very first wedding that we did. And basically it was, hey, we wanted to do a wedding, but we have been talking about it for months. But it was like, okay, well, during that first one, like, you don't want to put yourself out there and mess up somebody's, potentially biggest day of their life.
And then they're paying you for it.
And pay for it. And then they're going, hey, man, this isn't what I want. Yeah, this sucks, right? And so we're like, well, how do we get that first wedding? I mean, the common thing people do is there'll be a second shooter where they'll go, hey, you know what? Let me go with this established videographer or photographer, just kind of assist them with the day, get an extra angle. It's their work, their portfolio. But I was kind of like, I don't want to do that either because I don't want to mess up somebody's thing where I'm second shooting for them, but it's not really, and then they're paying me for that potentially. And I'm also like, the first wedding I shoot, I want it to truly be like, hey,
I wanted to learn our way. I don't want it to come in and like learn their way and then pick up their habits. Cause I don't know, like I wanted our videos to be our videos.
Yeah. And everybody works differently. Right. And so, so that was the barrier of, okay, how do we get the wedding? We don't have experience. We don't have a portfolio. We haven't second shot yet. And so literally we posted a Facebook status, just like with the Q&A show, of just like, hey, let's just put it out there. Let's see if we get at least one comment, one response, and maybe we'll do that wedding, And so we said, hey, we're going to do a wedding for free. If anybody's getting married in 2024, comment below, tag a friend, we'll do it. And we got probably 40 or 50 comments.
Yeah, a lot.
Yes, it was overwhelming, but in a good way, because we're going, man, I don't realize this many people were getting married. Some of them I knew. I'm like, I didn't know you were getting married this year. Even though I didn't get an invite. But, and so it was really, really funny. And we got a bunch of Facebook messages and stuff and shares. And it was great, right? And then we also got some, they were like, oh, you shouldn't be charging this. You shouldn't be doing this for free.
We did get a little backlash on that.
Yeah, because, other people in the industry going, hey, you're taking away. You're kind of devaluing it.
Making us look bad.
Yeah. And look, I guess to some point, I get it, but it's also like, hey, if you're an established professional,
shouldn't matter.
Yeah, it shouldn't matter, right? Because we can't do every wedding, you can't do every wedding, and ultimately, this isn't affecting you in the big picture, right? This is our thing that we're doing to establish ourselves and kind of learn and get experience. And so one of the comments on that post was, hey. It was actually a buddy of mine who I went to college with, and he's like, hey, I'm getting married in 2 days. We would love for you guys to come and film. And so the next question was, well, hey, we didn't think about this. How soon do we want to get started with this, right? Like, are we ready tomorrow in 2 days, or are we want to give it a few months to really like mentally prepare ourselves? But, our mindset was, well, hey, it's now or never. So we may as well just go straight in head first and knock this one out. Because the sooner we get one done, the sooner we have something in our portfolio to show, and we have experience editing a wedding film. And yeah.
I do want to add, it was on a Friday, that wedding. We were both working full-time jobs at this point. Yeah. We had to rush to this wedding after work. That was very stressful.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely stressful. So, it wasn't a full day, right? So we kind of got there. I think we were there for 6 hours. We got there like 4-ish and stayed till 10. But yeah, and I had work that day, sorry, boss. So I literally made up a lie, and I was like, oh, I've got to go somewhere to go show a house, and an hour away. Well, I didn't go to show a house. I went to go film a wedding. And so, I literally left work early, went home to pack up the cameras and stuff. Or really, we just had one camera at this point, an FX3, which we still have, thankfully. And then we had an Osmo Pocket 3, which is kind of a small gimbal camera.
I think if there's any videographers out there who watch this video, they're going to be like, shit, you really filmed the wedding with one camera?
Yeah, basically, like, which I do not recommend. Obviously, whatever you have, just start. That's the key with anything in life. It's just don't wait for yourself to have all this tools and equipment, because you're never going to get there. You're always going to feel like, oh, I don't have enough stuff. So just go out there and shoot. It's going to work out in the end. But yeah, we had one full frame camera, FX3, and then we had Osmo Pocket 3. And that was it. And so we showed up right when the first look was happening between the bride and groom, funny enough. So we kind of immediately we're hitting record, trying to stay out of the way of the photographer, because we're going, well, shoot, we're doing this for free. The photographer's actually paid. So we don't want to get in their way and, mess this up. And so we kind of shot around them, which, all professionals kind of work it out anyway. And so, yeah. Yeah, and that experience filming that first wedding really kind of gave us a new perspective on the amount of time that goes into it, not just physically on the day of, but also afterwards. Because then you have to go, okay, I have all this footage. I've got to take, hours and hours of footage and put it into a film that people want to watch, that's enjoyable, that has emotion, that has some entertainment value. And yeah, that was really stressful.
Yeah, we learned a lot.
We did. But it also gave us some confidence of like, hey, okay, we did this, right? Like, we filmed a wedding. It wasn't too bad the day of, right? It's like, hey, obviously we're a little nervous here and there, but we made a plan. We both, thankfully went to it. So we kind of had some backup and a person to bounce off, with ideas. But it wasn't too bad. We had fun, right? And thankfully it was somebody who we knew. And so it wasn't super, super stressful.
Yeah.
And then from there, we kind of, all those leads that we got, basically we reached out to him and said, hey, okay, here's an example film.
Hey, we did pick someone, we did do their wedding, but we also want to give you an opportunity to let us do your wedding,
a big discount. And so our first packages, you're not gonna believe this, our first packages for weddings that we offered was, I think, $250 for a ceremony edit, so an hour of filming and then you get a ceremony edit. I think $500 was like for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then I think $750 or $900 was for 8 hours.
Yeah, it was around there.
Yeah, which is highway robbery, especially for video.
Less than $1,000.
Less than $1,000. And so from those initial packages, we booked a few weddings. I think maybe one or two we added like a little travel fee because it was further than like our typical distance. And so yeah, we booked a few from that. And but also what I want to comment on. And not to disparage anybody or to be insensitive, but even from those initial packages of $250, $500, $900, there were a lot of people who didn't book with us.
Yeah.
Even at those rates, and even with our example of our first film, which was pretty decent. It's still on our website, CommunityMediaGroup.com. Go to our portfolio, you'll be able to see it. Emily and Jerry, and shout out to you guys. But decent film, but even from those initial prices, people didn't book, and that really kind of made us go, well, shoot, is it our work? Is it just that we, aren't established yet?
Because it was not the price.
Yeah, it wasn't the price, right? And so, more recently, we, of course, every professional has a conversation or the thought, at least once a year of, okay, should I raise prices? Do I keep it the same? Do I lower prices? Like, how do I fit in the industry? But that initial thing made us realize, like, hey, it's not always price, because who wouldn't pay $250 for a wedding film, or $500 when nobody else is going to charge you that low. And so that kind of gave us some confirmation of, okay, hey, it's not about price, it's about value. So communicating the value, communicating your process, communicating, that you make people comfortable, and they'll book you based on that.
Well, I do want to give a shout out to those people who did end up booking with us early on, because our portfolio, we had one video. Mm-hmm. Some of the people did not even know us. We were complete strangers. They maybe got tagged in our post, and we're like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And our first video was good, but our video started to get better and better better. So those people who did end up maybe booking for $250 or even $800, they got a really awesome video.
Absolutely.
And like, nobody is charging that for the work that we put in. They scored. They did.
And not to toot our own horn too much, but we just look at the kind of work that we do, and we stand by it, right? And we feel confident that what we produce right now for the price that we charge is incredible. I mean, not only the time delivery, getting teaser trailers out within, a day or two, getting the full film out within 2 months or less, right? That's really, really incredible. And yeah, so that was kind of our next step in this, whole genesis of where we are now, was kind of doing wedding films. And then from there, that gave us, obviously an opportunity to earn some revenue from what we do, right?
Yeah.
Doing video, eventually, which we now offer photography. And now here we are, right? We're kind of getting back into doing a podcast because we kind of had one started a couple years back, like I said, had some TikTok videos kind of go viral, but kind of take a break from it, right? We just didn't have the time. And then just things got really busy. But what we want to do is kind of talk about our experiences as like I say, business owners, as a couple, as parents, and make it relatable, make it something that people can feel, hey, you know what, I'm not going through this alone. There's other people who have the same experiences as me, or, same thoughts, same fears. And if I had to sum up kind of this whole conversation, right, it's all about, if you're a creative person out there or you have an idea, the best thing to do is just to start, right? You're never going to feel ready 100%. You're always going to have a million reasons not to start it, not to do it. But if you have the idea in your head, you never know where it might take you. Had we never started that show, Q&A show, and put ourselves out there, made our dining room a production area, and it was a hot mess, right? But had we not done that, we wouldn't be here, and we wouldn't be where we're going to be at in 10 years, wherever that may be. And so, whoever you're out there, like, if you have an idea, go for it. Put yourself out there, because life is this short. You only get so many times to wake up and do it all over again. And so it's like, hey, if you have something on your mind, your heart, go for it, do it. You would be surprised by how many people are watching you and supporting you. And yeah.
Getting emotional.
Yeah. But it's true. No, it's true. And I mean, that's kind of where we come from in our kind of viewpoint. It's like, hey, we... and obviously, like, we're nervous as heck all the time. We're anxious about stuff, but
we have I have imposter syndrome.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. But that's the key, right? And
they say the hardest thing to do is to start.
It's to start. And you're always gonna feel like maybe you're not good enough, or look at what so and so's doing, or what look at the quality. But they had to start somewhere too. And yeah, that's just the key. Hey guys, this is Greg and Alyssa with Q&A Pod. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If you want to follow us on socials, you can at Q&A Pod, or visit our website, QAnetwork.com.